When I moved into Maple Creek, I wasn't looking for a fight. I was looking for peace. After 22 years in the Army, 3 deployments, 1 divorce, and more nights without sleep than I can count, all I wanted was quiet. Coffee on the porch, evenings without sirens, weekends where the only sound was wind through the pines. That's all. Not a suburban turf war over a few feet of dirt. My new home sat at the far end of the neighborhood, right where the houses gave way to a stretch of wild land the HOA called the Community Greenbelt. But I'd done my homework. The quarter-acre wedge behind my fence was mine. Parcel 42C, clearly written on my deed, surveyed, signed, and recorded. My realtor, Ben Harris, had even called it a hidden gem. "You're lucky," he'd said. "That back strip's privately owned. Yours to clear, plant, or build on. HOA can't touch it." At first, I didn't. I had boxes to unpack, drywall to patch, a life to rebuild. But that lot called to me, a wild, sloping patch of earth waiting for purpose. Then, 3 weeks after moving in, I met her, the queen of the HOA. It was a Saturday. I'd rolled up my sleeves, grabbed a saw, and started trimming dead limbs. Just me, the bugs, and a faint smell of sun-baked pine. Then I heard it. Clack, 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 sandals on pavement. "Excuse me." I turned. A woman stood on the sidewalk like she'd stepped out of a suburban catalog. Floral workout top, sunglasses big enough to land aircraft on, and a clipboard hugged to her chest. "You can't be back there," she said sharply. "Back where?" I asked. "That land," she snapped, jabbing a manicured finger toward the slope. "It's HOA property. You're trespassing." I took off a glove and pulled a laminated copy of my property plat from my back pocket. "Actually, ma'am, this is my lot, parcel 42C. My deed says it extends 20 feet beyond the fence. This is all private property." She blinked, thrown off balance. "That can't be right. We've never had an owner claim that section." "Maybe it's time," I said. Her lips tightened like she'd just bitten into something sour. "What's your name?" "Michael Grant." "I'm Paula Davenport," she said, squaring her shoulders. "Vice President of the Maple Creek Homeowners Association." She said it like a title in a royal court. I nodded. "Good to meet you." She spun on her heel and stalked away. That was round 1. The war begins. 2 days later, a notice appeared on my door. Violation 04-12, unauthorized activity on HOA maintained land. Cease and desist immediately. I read it twice, folded it neatly, and tossed it in the trash. Then I drove to the county recorder's office. $24 later, I had certified copies of my deed, title report, and plat map. I even asked a retired city planner friend to verify it. Everything checked out. The HOA's Greenbelt map was 10 years out of date. The land behind my fence wasn't theirs, never had been. So I cleared the brush, planted a few cherry saplings, marked the boundary with small wooden posts. It wasn't rebellion. It was peace. But to Paula, it was war. I'd catch her car idling at the curb, binoculars raised. Once, I found an orange flag marking my fence line with a sticky note reading violation, "Do not build." Another time, one of my saplings was snapped clean in half. Then came the drones. Little quadcopters buzzing over my yard, dipping low like mechanical hornets. My dog went ballistic every time. When I asked Paula about it, she denied everything. But I saw the same model drone sitting in the back of her SUV the next morning. Still, I didn't yell. I documented. Photos, dates, times. A soldier's discipline for a suburban battlefield. When the cops came, one Tuesday evening, the war escalated. Sirens. 2 patrol cars. Red and blue lights washing over my driveway. "That's him," Paula shouted from the curb. "That's the trespasser." I froze, spade in hand. The younger deputy looked tense. The older one, graying hair, calm eyes, took his time. "Afternoon, sir," he said. "Mind explaining what's going on?" I nodded toward the folder sitting on my porch. "If I can grab my paperwork." He nodded. Inside that folder was everything. Deed, plat, correspondence, photos, even Google Earth overlays. I handed it to him without a word. Paula crossed her arms. "He's been digging and cutting trees on our greenbelt. We've maintained that land for 20 years. The deputy ignored her, scanning the documents carefully. He traced the boundary lines with a finger, double-checked the lot number, and exhaled. "Ma'am," he said, "according to the county plat and this certified deed, Mr. Grant owns the land behind his fence. Parcel 42C includes this area. It's not under HOA jurisdiction. Paula's jaw dropped. That can't be right. It's always been community property. It was years ago, he replied. Until the reallocation in 2011. It's all in the county records. Silence. Neighbors peeked from porches. One woman pretended to water her roses. Paula's face reddened. This isn't over, she hissed. The sheriff handed my folder back. You have a good evening, Mr. Grant. I nodded. You too, Sheriff. Paula stormed off like a thundercloud without rain. Escalation. Her silence lasted a week. Then came more letters, violations citing outdated codes, accusations of non-compliant landscaping. She started copying me on HOA. Emails full of veiled threats about lowering property values. Each message went into my Paula file. I found vandalized signs in my yard, new footprints near the saplings, drones buzzing again. It was harassment, plain and simple. So I shifted tactics. I contacted the county zoning office, verified every boundary line again. Then I filed a formal harassment report with the sheriff's department, attaching copies of Paula's letters and drone photos. It was slow, methodical, like preparing for a mission. Round 2. Sunday morning. Blue sky. The smell of wet soil after a light rain. I was planting azaleas when I heard her voice again. You are in violation of the cease and desist order. There she stood, neon vest, clipboard, and that laminated fake map in hand. Mrs. Davenport, I said calmly, this isn't your land. It's community property, she snapped. I'm calling the authorities. Go ahead, I said. The same ones who told you last time it's mine? Her eyes flashed. You'll regret this. She lifted her phone and started her performance. Yes, officer, he's digging again. I feel unsafe. That word, unsafe, was her favorite weapon. 20 minutes later, sheriff's car rolled in. Same older deputy, Sheriff Don Harlan. He stepped out, calm as ever. Mr. Grant, we meet again. Paula intercepted him. Sheriff, he's vandalizing HOA land. Ma'am, Harlan said evenly. Why don't we take a look first? She launched into a rant about community bylaws and neighborhood standards. Harlan listened, patient but unmoved. Then he turned to me. I handed him my binder, now twice as thick, and the updated letter from County Zoning Officer Carla Dean confirming that Parcel 42C was privately owned. He flipped through, nodded, and then looked back at Paula. Do you have any documentation saying otherwise? Official county documents. She froze. The HOA map. Filed with the county? He pressed. Well, no, but... Then we're done, he said. The silence that followed was like a cleansing wind. Mrs. Davenport, Harlan said calmly. Calling law enforcement to settle private HOA disputes is misuse of emergency services. Don't let it happen again. You can't talk to me like that, she stammered. I just did, he replied. He turned to me. You're all good, Mr. Grant. Paula's face twisted in rage. You think you've won? You're not from here. People listen to me. I smiled faintly. The sheriff listens to the law. The fall. Over the next month, the tone of the neighborhood shifted. The HOA newsletter warned about unauthorized land use. Flyers appeared at the mailboxes about community integrity. But the words carried no teeth anymore. Neighbors who once avoided me started nodding again. Marvin Lee, the retiree 2 doors down, stopped me one evening. Don't let her scare you, he said quietly. She pulled this same stunt on the Andersons years back. That confirmed what I suspected. This wasn't new. Paula had been doing this for years, bullying people who didn't know their rights. But the sheriff's public reading of my deed broke her spell. Her authority cracked, and the truth spread faster than her gossip. At the next HOA meeting, residents packed the clubhouse. I arrived late, but I could feel the shift. People weren't whispering about me anymore. They were whispering about her. After a tense hour of complaints, Dennis Kirk, the board treasurer, stood up and cleared his throat. We've reviewed the county records, he said. The HOA acted outside its jurisdiction. We owe Mr. Grant an apology. Paula sat silent. Her clipboard was gone. A woman in the back asked, and what about all the fines and threats? Paula finally spoke, softly, without her usual steel. I was following the information I had. No, Marvin said from the side, voice steady. You were following your ego. The room fell silent. Then someone called for a vote of no confidence. No one objected. Not even her. She resigned that night. No tears, no speech, just a quiet walk out the door. Shoulders slumped. Aftermath. A month later, Lena Brooks, a young, tech-savvy neighbor, became the new HOA president. She reached out the next day. "Michael," she said, "we're starting fresh. Would you join our land committee? We could use someone who actually reads the maps." I laughed. "As long as it doesn't involve measuring grass height." She grinned. "Deal." That weekend, I hosted a small barbecue. Marvin brought bourbon. The neighbors came, some for the first time ever. Kids played under the trees I'd planted months before. As the sun dipped behind the ridge, I realized something. This whole story hadn't really been about Paula. It had been about boundaries, both on paper and in life. Some are drawn in ink, others in courage. And sometimes the only way to keep your peace is to stand your ground, quietly, firmly, and without fear. That night, I sat on my porch, beer in hand, listening to the crickets. The drones were gone. The letters had stopped. For the first time since I moved into Maple Creek, I wasn't defending anything. I was just home,